The Modern Impact of Tiberius Gracchus by Hisham Kudvavi. The exact birth of Tiberius Gracchus is unknown, but he was born sometime between 168 and 163 BC and died in June of 133 BC. Also, he became Roman tribune in 133 BC, and it's not a coincidence he died in the same year, which will be explained later. Tiberius first became recognized at Numantia when he drew a treaty that was fair for both sides. This treaty saved the lives of a lot of Romans because it prevented further war from escalating, and it was part of the reason why Tiberius became tribune. When Tiberius became tribune in 133 BC, he tried to help the poor keep their wealth by passing the agrarian reform, which distributed land. This reform had multiple effects on multiple groups of people. Also, the reform made Tiberius very popular among the plebeians, as land was now more evenly distributed between the rich and the poor. Unfortunately, Tiberius was killed at an electoral meeting because he tried to run for a second term, which was unheard of at the time. The reason people thought he was running again was to try to gain more power, and that he was becoming power hungry. But in reality, Tiberius just wanted to make sure his reform was in place and that it would not be taken out by a greedy senator. However, Tiberius lost a lot of supporters, and he angered many people by running again. He and 300 of his supporters were beat to death by clubs at an electoral meeting. The impact Tiberius had on Rome went much further than just the agrarian reform. Not only did it distribute land, it boosted the morale of the plebeians because they had more wealth and didn't fear of losing the land when they went to war. This boost in morale was extremely important because plebeians made up the entire army, which was very pivotal to the success of Rome. Tiberius also had an impact on modern-day America. In the 1800s, the United States had a very little amount of public land. So they used the agrarian reform, the exact same one as Tiberius, to make sure they would not fall into imperial power, and so that they could balance the private and public land that they had. Another modern impact of Tiberius was his influence on Theodore Roosevelt, who was an American president. Tiberius was probably the model of Roosevelt. Also, Roosevelt based his reforms off of what Tiberius did in Rome, for example, the creation of the Department of Labor and Commerce. Overall, Tiberius had a huge impact in the ancient and modern world with his agrarian reform. He was able to help the plebeians and narrow the gap in wealth between the plebeians and patricians. Also, he inspired the United States from falling into imperial power and influenced Theodore Roosevelt into creating many reforms which helped the Americans. And here's my works cited. Thank you.